Hello again, everyone, and welcome to our part 2 of our terrain tutorial. So in the first tutorial, I showed you guys some quick places where you could get some assets to start rolling with your terrains really early on. And in this video, what I'd like to do is show you guys how you can install some of the more advanced features that are coming to Unity terrains probably within the next year or two. And a lot of these are really well developed tools that we could take a look at. And the reason why I want to import these is like when we created that hole in the video earlier, there are tools to be able to make that hole better. And they're just not here by default. There's actually a whole list of tools that are added to this new terrain system that they've added that they haven't permanently added in yet because they're still working on them. So to get to these, we have to use something called a preview package. So I'm going to go up to Window and then to the Package Manager. And in the Package Manager, what we're going to have to do is go over to this button that says Advanced. And there's an option here for Show Preview Packages. So in this Show Preview Packages, I want you guys to type in Terrain. And you'll see it comes up with this Terrain Tools package. And we're going to install this into our project. And you see how it says preview dash? That means it's not officially rolled into the engine as a package yet. It's something that it's going to be eventually added in. And sometimes it could take months, sometimes it can take years for these preview packages to get approved. Alright, so now that this is loaded in, we can close the package manager window. And if we look at our terrain, select your terrain now and go to your raise and lower terrain, and you can see that there's a ton of new tools here to be able to work with the terrain. There's clone brush controls. There's a new option called sculpt, and you can like bridge and clone things, create terraces. There are different effects you can to sharpen peaks or flatten slopes. Erosion effect. So if I select, like, let's do hydraulic erosion effect. Now let's take a look at something that we've already created here. I'm going to reduce the brush size on this. And let's see here, where's our brush size? Let's reduce the brush size in this considerably. Let's start using erosion effects on this. And you can see it starts to erode this thing as if it's like being eaten away by the weather. And it's so cool. Like, there's so many awesome options here, and you can randomize this using brush rotation and jitter and brush spacing. If I go over to here and let's look at raise and lower terrain. And let's see, brush spacing, jitter. It's a particular tool that I'm looking for here under stroke. So the tool that I'm looking for here is under sculpt, and it should be terrace. So like you could do terrace painting here, and if I come in, I can actually make it so that anything that I painted will get like this terraced or sculpted model approach, like almost like a layer model type of thing. Alright, so there's that option. There's also under sculpt options for noise. And if we grab one of these brushes here and start painting, you'll see that it adds just little noise to the terrain so that it doesn't appear to be as flat. So there's a lot of really nice tools to work with terrains in Unity now. If you turn on something like spacing and scatter, if I reduce the brush size a bit here and I start doing it, it'll randomly scatter. I think maybe the spacing is a little too high. Randomly scatter those effects. And you could use this with a whole bunch of other different options. Pretty neat. So you could quickly create some interesting options with these new preview tools. So I definitely encourage you to kind of look at some of what these different options are, especially the sculpting tools. This is the terrain tools package. Really what it does is it adds in a lot of options when it comes to sculpting and so forth. But I just want to include that as another video just so that if you do want to add these tools, you have them at your disposal to kind of work with. And it is another way to kind of rapidly prototype your scene. So if you're creating like an outdoor type of scene or a scene where you're on another planet or something like that, you can start to rapid prototype that fairly quickly. Alright, so I think that's going to be it for this video. In the next video, we're going to start to look at creating some basic interactivity with our player controller.